Yeah, I think we're here. Yeah, I think this is it. When was the last time you went to a show? Can't even remember the last time I went to a live show, especially since this quarantine. Just that live feeling and having an awesome time out with your friends. And that feeling is exactly what DRIXXIE's music reminds me of. It's just so catchy. I mean, you don't hear catchy stuff like this all the time. And that's why I love it. I mean, it makes you want to turn up the volume a little bit more every single time you listen. And you start bopping your head, and then you question, wait a minute, who is this? Who is this artist? Well, this is DRIXXIE. And if I had a label, I'd sign him. There's definitely a couple main things that I'm looking for if I was to sign an artist. Now, I've never had a record label myself, but I kind of know the basics of how they operate. They essentially put up all of the money up front for the artist to record and get their album ready. And in return, they get some of the rights or the royalties to the music. That's usually how it's set up. From the perspective of a record label, you really want someone who's not only a good return on investment, but someone who can grow. Someone who has potential. Really someone who has that hit song, that star power that some artists just have, that natural ability to rise to the top. And honestly, to me, that's what I think DRIXXIE has. He just has this natural ability to create catchy hooks, catchy songs. Some of your favorite songs are the songs that are just really catchy to you, and that's what's important. And that's what he does great. But before we get into all of that, who even is DRIXXIE? What is he about?
Well, DRIXXIE comes from DRIXXO. DRIXXO is what I used to rap under like years ago, like teenage years. Like I evolved into DRIXXIE because I started like working with instruments. Like I started becoming a guitarist. So I just picked that shit up.
And that right there, the fact that he's able to play instruments, he can play guitar, not just rap. Like he can do multiple things with his music. Is really interesting, and it makes him an artist who has more potential than someone else who maybe only raps or only sings. But how did he get there? How did he get to that level?
It's understanding that I love music. So I love all variety of music. And instead of just staying in one genre, like I just took on a lot of them. I just was like listening to so much shit. Mm-hmm. And then trying to imitate and copy that same shit. Mm-hmm. And it just came out like me making this crazy gumbo of a sound.
And he's right. Like, listen to this. This is It by DRIXXIE off his latest album.
Just graduated too, just moved to LA too. Who be motivating you? Is it you? Is it you, darling? Is it you?
I mean, you can hear it all right there. It's got the guitar playing, the vocals, the catchy hook. It's all there. But just because it's catchy, just because I like it, doesn't necessarily mean that's all we're looking for. So here's a second point. It's just so natural sounding, it already sounds like it's a hit. It already sounds like it's played on the radio. I mean, honestly, it kind of sounds like Wiz Khalifa, like straight up. It's just at that level. And to see a local artist sound like he's at that level, or at least sound close to that level, it's huge. It's everything. And so I asked him, what's the writing process behind that?
Really, it's just like I play the beat, right? Mm-hmm. And I got like this formula. If it takes me more than, let's say, 30 minutes to think of the hook, the song is a no-go. It's trash. So I play the beat. And because I'm so fired, I could only hear like the like say I hear the 8-bar loop, right?
Yeah.
I'll hear the 8-bar loop, and then I'll do something like, yo, I'm gonna go to the mall or I'm gonna go to the store, and I keep saying the 8-bar loop in my head.
Uh-huh.
And then I'll get the hook while I'm like driving or something. So then I can't wait to go back to the studio and record it. And then once I record it, it's like it just started pouring out of me. But I've always been the type of writer where it's like when the song is done, I could proofread my shit. So I could take the whole song and I can switch out lines I don't like or make anything rhyme or fit.
And I really like that he has that process in place. Like he knows what works for him. And that's something that a lot of artists, they need to find. They need to find for themselves. Like what works for you? And for DRIXXIE, like if he can't figure it out in the first 30 minutes, if it's not in his head, if he's not singing that melody, it's gone. It's done with. And he's on to the next thing and on to the next song after that. And that seems to be how he basically creates his music. And besides that, it's also just the natural flow that he has coming out vocally that I really think appeals to me. It doesn't sound forced. It doesn't sound robotic. It sounds natural, just really pleasing to listen to. And if you can execute it well, like DRIXXIE does, it just makes the listening experience for all of the fans and the listeners out there like so much better. They don't have to force themselves to hear it. It just sounds good. That might be something you have to work towards, or maybe that's something you naturally have. But that's part of his aesthetic, which I love. And so, if I had a label, coming from that perspective, you know that this artist, whatever music he puts out, it has that natural sound to it. So people are going to be more likely to like it and to listen to it. They can relate to it easier. It's just a smooth vocal that gets stuck in their head, really. And that's something great to have as an artist. So as a label, I see that as an asset, something that I would love to have as part of my record label, part of my repertoire, to share with the people and to hopefully garner attention for the label and the artist. That's the ultimate goal, to get that attention, to get that following, to get people excited about the music. And when I was talking with DRIXXIE, I asked him that as well. Like, how do you get that natural feel, that natural sound?
I make it as I go. Like I literally have to make the flow of the song has to be a wave to me. It has to flow.
And I love that when he said that. It just made so much sense. If you're listening, you just want it to be natural. Like you don't want to have to work for it. But that also made me curious too. If you're the one who does all the production, you get stuck in your head a lot. So how do you know when it's done? How do you know when to move on? How do you know if it's even good?
I let my homies make that decision because I make music for my friends. That's how I grew up. Like make music for the people around you. Mm-hmm. So I'm listening, and they tell me that we are not fucking with them. I'm like, well, they're not gonna appreciate this shit. So
yeah.
So this has got to go.
And as a label, that's a good thing to hear because you know that your artist is somewhat testing this out on people. Like it's almost like playing at a show, and you can kind of tell if the audience likes your song or not. And if you have that ability to share it with your friends, hopefully they give you honest feedback or at least play it at a show or something, and you can tell like the crowd's into it or they're not into it. That's good feedback. As an artist and as a label, that's good to know that you have that option and you can test stuff out. And to me, that's where the potential comes in and where I see value as signing this artist. They have these processes in place that kind of put them above other artists that don't, honestly. If you're the label and you're putting money up front to record this artist, you can literally work with them and tell them like, hey, for instance, DRIXXIE, you have these 5 new songs, test them out on your friends, go play a couple shows. Let us know what works, like what's the best song out of all of them. And then the label can work with you and help you choose which songs to record on the final project, on the final album. And it's that collaboration and that ability to use these processes in place that make DRIXXIE a signable artist. And I mean, what that really does is it just tells you immediately what might get more attention over something else. This song might perform way better on the charts than this other one because you have that immediate feedback from those shows or from the friends listening. And just to plug another song of his, this is one of my favorites off his album, called DRIXXIE. Listen to this hook.
That's a hot ass video. He gonna blow up, boy.
Yeah. Hey, DRIXXIE. The LC where you'll find me. I'm too real to chill. I fetch a check when I need. I got respect past my street. My whole crew.
And again, I've never owned a label, like I said, but if I did, I would really make sure the artist has potential to grow. Someone who's catchy and can relate to the people. Someone who can get that attention and really just sound like a hit artist, a hit record from the start. And I honestly think DRIXXIE has a lot of that in him, a lot of that natural, just kind of sound that sounds great. I think it separates him from other artists. And, if you're another artist listening, that's something you can improve on yourself. Like maybe try to find these processes to put in place that make better songs, that sound more natural when you make your music, that get that feedback from your friends or the community or the fans listening. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode of If I Had a Label. Thanks for listening to DIY Sound Library, and stay tuned for the next artists in the Philadelphia area. And oh yeah, if you don't follow me on Instagram and listen to all my shit, Spotify, iTunes, whatever. Share the page, give me a follow, and yeah, we'll do big things together. Let's go.